Euphoria Season 3 is starting to feel less like a TV production and more like an urban legend whispered on the internet. A show everyone swears exists somewhere out there. Trapped in constant delay, cursed by rumors, and somehow still capable of lighting up social feeds whenever the slightest update leaks. Fans remember the night Season 2 faded to black February 27, 2022, leaving Rue staggering toward sobriety while owing 10 grand to a ruthless dealer, Nate turning his own father over to the police, and Fesco bleeding under flashing red and blue lights. In that moment the audience was breathless, convinced the fallout would arrive within a year, maybe two. Instead, the calendar flipped from 2022 to 2023. Then ambled into 2024. And when 2025 dawned with no cameras rolling, the phrase Euphoria Season 3 inches began trending mostly as a punchline. The internet asked if anyone would even care by the time the new episodes arrived. The elevator pitch answer is 2026. 8 episodes only after a hefty time jump that vaults the Weinstein characters into their mid-20s. But those updates hide a far richer, messier saga of creative battles, legal tangles, personnel tragedies, and last-minute cast shuffles that would make even Rue's chaotic life look tame. While fans scrolled timelines for official news, real-world actors found themselves stuck in a contractual limbo that felt like detention with no bell. HBO's exclusivity clauses meant the show's breakout. Stars couldn't commit to other long-term series without network approval that rarely came because shooting might start any month now. Sydney Sweeney has joked, with only the faintest trace of sarcasm, that she once turned down roles believing cameras would start any minute. The minutes became months, the months rolled into years, and that hypothetical start date kept sliding ahead like a horizon line on a desert highway. Eric Dane, who plays the deeply flawed Cal Jacobs, called the uncertainty frustrating and likened himself to an athlete warming up on the sidelines only to be told the game is postponed till further notice. Actors who build careers on momentum felt the gears grinding to a halt then. In April 2025, news broke that turned the delay from irritating to heartbreaking. Eric Dane publicly revealed he had been diagnosed with ALS, the progressive neurological disease that weakens muscles and steals movement with merciless efficiency. He had already lost most use of his right arm, and doctors warned time was precious. Yet for days after announcing the diagnosis, Dane walked back onto the Euphoria set. Castmates say the crew tried to shelve their shock and poured that energy into making Cal's scenes unforgettable. Production schedules were reshuffled so his most demanding moments could be filmed first. On-set sources describe a hush falling each time Dane stepped in front of the camera, less out of pity than respect. Because here was a man refusing to let a brutal illness dictate when, or if, he tells the rest of Cal's story. His determination tethered the entire production to a fresh, fragile sense of urgency. Not every face could return. Barbie Ferreira, beloved as the razor-sharp cot, departed after her character all but vanished in Season 2. In interviews, she finally admitted the exit brought relief. Creative tensions had reached a point where staying meant shrinking into clichés she no longer recognized. Even more devastating was the sudden passing of Angus Cloud in 2023. Fans had rallied around his portrayal of Fesco's morally steady heart of a show built on spirals and meltdowns, and the thought of continuing the narrative without him felt almost sacrilegious. HBO reportedly debated pausing the season again, but ultimately chose to finish, working a tribute into the storyline and quietly consulting grief counselors to support both cast and audience. Behind the scenes, Euphoria's creator Sam Levinson spent this hiatus in a reputational whirlwind. Once hailed as a visionary for his neon-tinted portrayal of teenage excess, he faced backlash for The Idol, a separate HBO project that critics slammed as exploitative and chaotic. That controversy spilled over, prompting fans to re-examine more voyeuristic elements. Levinson was further rattled by photographer and filmmaker Petra Collins, who claimed he borrowed her dreamlike aesthetic after inviting her to help develop early concepts. She said she moved to Los Angeles, poured 5 months into shaping the show's look, and then watched from the sidelines after being deemed too young to direct. When billboards went up months later, she saw what she called a mirror of her signature style beaming back at her without credit. The allegations of sidelining female creatives felt eerily familiar to those who watched director Amy Seimetz exit The Idol after finishing the majority of that show's first season only to see its tone rewritten under Levinson's late-game leadership. Meanwhile, Zendaya, now an executive producer as well as the undisputed face of the series, reportedly clashed with Levinson over proposed plotline. One draft supposedly reimagined Rue as a private detective chasing gritty adult mysteries. Another swung the pendulum in the opposite direction, pitching Rue as a reformed addict who becomes a surrogate mother. HBO executives kibooshed both extremes. Zendaya apparently agreed but insisted Rue's journey must speak to genuine growth, not gimmick. Those creative debates chewed through months of script rewrites before cameras finally rolled in. January 22/5. The moment filming resumed. HBO blasted 2 words across social media in production and tried to jumpstart hype. Paparazzi. Drones did the rest, circling outdoor sets and leaking grainy footage. Nate and Cassie, in formal wedding attire marching up church steps. Rue screaming across a diner booth at a fresh-faced newcomer. Alexa, Demi's Maddie gliding through a chic hotel lobby with an air of someone who learned self-possession the hard way. The network added sizzle by announcing Grammy-winning flamenco pop powerhouse Rosalía in a mysterious recurring role, along with surprise cameos from retired NFL star Marshawn Lynch and 90s icon Kadeem Hardison. Eager viewers devoured every pixel, rewriting fan theories by the hour. But looming behind the glam came a sobering fact. An 8-episode order after 4 years of waiting felt too many, like a breadcrumb dinner. HBO countered that each installment would run long and pack a post-time jump punch. Coleman Domingo, who plays Rue's mentor Ellie, teased that the characters are several years older and navigating consequences they could once dodge by blaming youth. Sydney Sweeney called the new scripts unhinged, a description that seemed both promise and warning, given how Season 2 sometimes tangled itself, chasing shock value. Time jump storytelling also allows Euphoria to tackle adult stakes careers, legal fallout, real-world grief while skipping repetitive high school hallway drama. Yet skipping years means skipping context. And critics wonder whether the emotional through-line can survive that narrative gap. Into this swirl of speculation stepped the rumor mill, revved to maximum volume. One persistent theory claims Cassie will start the season visibly pregnant, though shadows hang over the baby's paternity. Another insists Rue and Maddie will function as dual leads, each wrestling temptations from opposite ends of the moral compass. Lexi, fans argue, might morph from playwright to hard-nosed investigative journalist, using her talent for observation to expose small-town corruption. And in the most meta rumor, insiders whisper HBO deliberately plants decoy leaks so the real twists land undiluted. It's a clever PR game. The more wild theories clutter the conversation, the safer the actual spoilers remain. Logistical hurdles escalate behind the curtain. Aging the characters believably requires fresh wardrobes, subtle prosthetics, and digital touch-ups. Integrating a respectful homage to Angus Cloud demands CGI that never dips into uncanny territory. Editors must weave new footage with flashbacks that remind viewers why unresolved debts, grudges, and romances still burn after the time jump. Music supervisors are tasked with curating tracks that evoke nostalgia yet signal personal evolution. VFX artists quietly erase production glitch after glitch, from stray boom mics to continuity-busting tattoos. Deadlines hover like vultures. HBO wants final cuts locked by fall 2025 to hit a spring 2026 premiere and stay within Emmy eligibility windows. Any hiccup could shove the release into summer, drenching the show in blockbuster competition and possibly diluting awards buzz. Amid all the spreadsheet scheduling and marketing calculus, real emotion hums in quiet corners of the set. Crew members describe shooting Eric Dane's scenes as equal parts inspiration and heartbreak. A reminder that creative work can be life-affirming even when life itself is slipping sideways. Zendaya, cast and crew say, took on an unofficial leadership role, checking on colleagues between takes and pushing to ensure story beats land with authenticity rather than empty fireworks. That sense of ensemble resilience might become the invisible thread that ties this season together, which circles back to the question that has stalked Euphoria through every press release and paparazzi snapshot. Can the magic return after so many delays, controversies, and painful goodbyes? Television history offers precedents both cautionary and hopeful. Twin Peaks vanished for decades and roared back as a mind-bending cult triumph. Game of Thrones limped through its final lap despite towering hype. Viewers are fickle until the lights dim, theme music hums, and beloved characters stroll back into frame. Nostalgia is a powerful solvent. So is honest storytelling delivered with true stakes. If Levinson's writing channels raw grief, hard-won growth, and the messy grace of adulthood, The show could transform its cursed reputation into something more mythic, a comeback tale forged in chaos. Picture it, opening scene. Years later, Rue steps onto a cracked suburban sidewalk, almost unrecognizable in confidence, but haunted by the debt that once chased her to the brink. Cassie, older yet, still leaking need, adjusts a wedding veil that feels like a costume. Nate, brittle behind groom-to-be armor, pockets a flask as vows echo down an empty church aisle. Cal stands in the back pew, shoulders trembling from disease and regret. In one breathtaking crane shot, the audience sees every storyline still buzzing, with electricity, older, wiser, wounded, but unfinished. Suddenly the wait feels worthwhile. The extra seasons of real-world drama woven into the fiction, like secret embroidery, or maybe viewers tune in only to discover the spark never quite reignites. Proof that some lightning strikes can't be bottled twice. That possibility hangs in the air too, because Euphoria has always thrived on risk. Either outcome prompts conversation, memes, heated Twitter threads, video essays, the lifeblood of modern fandom. HBO is betting that curiosity, more than nostalgia, will lure audiences back. A curiosity to witness how Rue's sobriety war collides with unresolved trauma. How Maddie's swagger evolves when graduation gowns are long discarded, and whether the humanity at Euphoria's core can outshine the neon spectacle it helped popularize. So the countdown continues. Editors cut, colorists grade, composers sync throbbing synth lines to table-flip plot twists. And somewhere in a Los Angeles soundstage, a series of battered yet determined actors deliver the takes they've been living with in limbo for nearly half a decade. One winter morning in 2026, your streaming queue will refresh. And the purple gold logo will glow again, daring you to press play. Maybe you'll hesitate, thumb hovering, wondering if you've outgrown the rebellious thrill Euphoria once offered. Or maybe, without a second thought, you'll dive back into that swirling storm of glitter, grief, and raw teenage emotion, aged like cheap wine shoved to the back of a warm cupboard, slightly off taste, maybe, but more potent than ever. Either way, the experiment unfolds only once. And when the credits roll on episode 8, we'll finally know whether for years of chaos produced a masterpiece or a cautionary tale. Until then, the legend grows, and we keep watching the horizon for a show that refuses, against all odds, to stay dead.